obviously this doesn't go for anyone using a Windows computer. Like that's several steps away. Just
throw it out the window.
What you want to do is if you take your computer and go out of your back door, open up the recycling bin, and just put it in there. Speaking of 170 BPM music, Frenchcore is the one.
Frenchcore.
For anyone that enjoys a bit of kind of EDM music and thinks, oh, but I just wish it was just twice as fast and a bit more distorted. And
it is another Life Hacks episode, tools, techniques and tactics for a productive and efficient life. If you haven't seen this before, we do a roundtable. Each of us proposes some sort of life hack we've come up with over the last few weeks since the previous episode. And then the other two tear it to pieces or immediately proclaim that person as God and say, right, I'm going to go buy it or I'm going to go start doing it right now. And that's it.
That is it. Or there's the delayed reaction, which is proclaim the others as an idiot, and then a couple of years later, we're all doing that thing.
We're all moving in the same direction at once. If you want to check out whatever it is that we talk about, there will be links in the show notes below. If there are discounts or codes or whatever, I'll have trawled the internet and tried to find them. So if there's something that you enjoy that you want to go and use, just look, show notes below, comments below, and they'll be there. So, Jonny, you're first up. There's a hot potato for you.
Oh, God.
In the face.
Right. So I think what we just spoke about there of like the true test of a life hack is when someone said it 2 years ago, I make fun of it, and then I say it again. And I'm a bit worried about this one. I don't think it's been mentioned before, but it's the sort of thing that Chris would have recommended. So, and I would have probably made fun of it as well.
Okay.
So let's see. It's something that Dan, Digital Audio Broadcast, actually recommended to me, which is I really struggle. So I don't know whether you remember last time I spoke about struggling with creatine, and creatine tablets solved that problem for me.
Yeah.
I also struggle with morning whey, like having a whey protein shake in the morning. I just find it a bit, I don't know, like it's never quite what you'd expect it to be. Clear whey from MyProtein is excellent.
This is a more kind of juice consistency compared to the milkshake type.
Yeah. So you 1 scoop in water, give it a shake, leave it. It's very important to leave it, because if you go for it straight away, if you go for it straight away. So like my first like week of experience with it was like semi-congealed. It's hydrolyzed whey. So semi-congealed bits of hydrolyzed whey. It was like, this is awful. But then you leave it for 2-3 minutes and it's just like a juice. So as a morning supplement, brilliant. So that's my life hack.
So it's a hydrolyzed whey, so it's not an isolate.
Yeah. So I thought it was an isolate, but if you read the ingredients, it does say hydrolyzed whey. Maybe someone
technology has come so far in the last few years. Like for hydrolyzed whey, because back in the day, if you've heard the fitness menopause podcast, where we were, deep in the days. I know, Chris, you mentioned like where MyProtein was just like a build it yourself powder, and you could literally put in like the most stupid combinations of like, I want 95% beta alanine, 5% oats,
horny goat's weed,
horny goat's weed and waxy maize starch
with it, minging, absolutely disgusting. And all of these, like, you'd get casein, which was just like basically a lump of sand that as soon as water touches it, it just becomes a solid, and you shake it in your thing and it just goes dunk 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 in your And
so what's
hydrolyzed whey?
What's the advantage of this, Jonny? Less digestive discomfort, better taste, sort of less of a bloated feeling?
Maybe you two don't get this, but like when I make a protein, like if you make a protein shake, like a scoop or 2 scoops of whey concentrate with like water from the tap, it's always this like 6 out of 10 experience, isn't it? Like you're never like, oh God, I'm glad. Oh, that was delicious. I'm really glad I had that first thing. And then you feel a little bit gurgly and you're like, oh, like don't feel that great about it. But the clear whey just tastes like juice. So if you get like the orange and mango one, for example, it just tastes like having orange juice in the morning. And it's 25 grams of protein or something. So I think it just makes it easier. So I do that, and then I have that with my creatine tablets and my supplements. It just makes it easier to like, it's something I always do because I like the taste of it. And it's effortless, and it tastes like juice.
What are the flavors that you've tried, and what is the optimal powder to water ratio?
Great questions, Chris. Great questions. So I've tried watermelon, grape, rainbow candy.
Oh wow, you've gone very deep into this. Did you get sample packs, or are these all legitimate ones that you've worked your way through?
I went full container.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watermelon.
Big risk.
Did I say watermelon? Peach tea, and then the mango one. And I think probably the watermelon's my favorite one. I think. And it's one scoop with quite a bit of water.
Come on.
Well, it depends what you want the amount of water.
Yeah.
So on those metal shakers,
yep.
I know they have like milliliter marks. I don't pay attention to that. I do about 3/4 full. 3/4 full.
With one scoop?
First. With one scoop. Yeah. Put the water in first, then the scoop in, shake it, leave it.
This is a very important part.
I cannot stress that enough. You must leave it. And then come back to it. Let it prepare itself. Come back to it in 2-3 minutes. And you have a tasty juice protein drink.
So there is an argument that you should have tasty protein supplements because that induces the cephalic phase of digestion. It gets your digestive juices going. It helps you absorb the protein better compared to back in the day when we would just pound like unflavored hydrolyzed whey that just tastes of vomit, because it is vomit. Chemically, it's pre-digested protein, so it's got that vomity taste. So now, like, there's no excuse, is there? You've got peach tea, watermelon. I think my flatmate got me some sample packs for my birthday, I think, of this type of whey, and it was like a limited edition refreshers flavor, Parma violets, like all these mad flavors. Great.
I love it. That's really cool. Anyone that wants to go and get that, the code Modern Wisdom will get you 37% off or greater on everything at MyProtein. If you go to bit.ly/Modern Wisdom, there's a link in the show notes below. Just go and get it if you want to check out this clear whey. We hadn't organized that, but thanks, Jonny. Have
either of you two tried it?
No, I've got it's the 3rd of April, so my account allowance will have been restocked, and I'm going to get one of whatever your top few flavors are.
You'll love it, Chris. I think Yusef, I can imagine drinking and going, and then being really annoyed about it because it is quite expensive. That's the only downside.
Is what it is. Yusef, what have you got for us?
So on take 2 of the intro of this podcast, you guys asked me, is this t-shirt yours? And you clicked that it wasn't because it fits well and it's a good choice of t-shirt, and you know me well enough to know that my fashion sense is terrible. So my life hack is, whenever you wear a piece of clothing, use it as a chance to be like, because very few people have got too little clothes. I think clothes are unreasonably cheap, and usually we hold on to just crap t-shirts or whatever that we have just because status quo. So it's use it as a chance to be like, do I really want to wear this in the future, or was this just a decision that past me has made that I no longer agree with? And so now whenever I put on a t-shirt or a sock or something, I'm like, could this be the last time that I wear this? And I know that there's some kind of psychology. So, I mean, case in point, here's my bin with a t-shirt in it. And it's a rubbish t-shirt. I'm not going to miss it. I bought it maybe 10 years ago in Primark. So was it something you said about the level that you value things that you already have is different to if you were to buy it for the first time, or if you were to lose it and you want it back? And our brain plays these funny games to value things differently, and you have to kind of get objective and be like, no, if I didn't own this right now, would I actually go out and buy it, or would I be like, no, it's worthless to me? Is the value only because it's already mine?
That's cool. That's like a evolution of the fittest clothing. Survival of the fittedest.
The fittedest. I have a slight variant on that I've actually done over the last year. I think I might have mentioned this on a life hack before, but which is I moved basically all of my clothes onto like a separate rail in the hanger. And every time I wore something, I put it on a different rail. And after a 6-month period, everything that isn't on the main rail, just get rid of.
Oh, so you're doing the same thing, but in batch.
Well, it's just the process of like
formalized process, isn't it? No, I think this is awesome. I have done it a different way. So I've been taking big blocks of clothes to a buddy, and he does a lot of eBay stuff. And I just said, look, if you want to list these on eBay, take 50% of whatever they make. It was either that or the charity shop. I tell you what's mad. I hadn't even thought of this, but the amount of money that you will get for worn but good condition training shoes. I go through a lot of pairs of Nanos and Metcons back in the day before the Reebok deal and stuff. And they're still getting a 3-year-old pair of worn but in all right condition shoes will still get 25 or 30 pounds. And then
fetishists just love worn shoes, don't they?
I'm not sure that it's all fetishists, because you don't know who's worn it. Surely is part of the fetish not knowing the person that wore it and thinking about them wearing it. It's not just a dirty shoe, is it?
You have heard the story about when I was in that flat, haven't you? Yeah. I don't even know what episode that was in.
Very, very early on. Why don't you tell it again?
Okay. One day I was living in Edinburgh in a flat of a few people, student flat, and this guy came to the door and he had his hair like slicked back and he was in a shirt. He looked a bit spermy, and I was like, hello. And he was like, oh, hi, I'm here for the shoes. We were like, oh no, he was like, is Sam in? And I was like, yeah. And then someone else walked past and we were like, hello, do we know you? And he was like, oh, I'm just looking for Sam. And then Sam came out. I was like, oh, you're right, mate. Yeah, you're here for the shoes. Yeah, no problem. Here you go. And then we were like, well, can you just explain what's going on here? And he was like, well, if you must know, I have a foot fetish and I would really appreciate the shoes. And we were just like, okay, fine. And then after he left, we were like, Sam, were you not bothered that there's a man who's probably doing unspeakable things to your shoes right now? And he was like, no, it's fine. Like, if he gets more joy out of them, then great. Basically, this guy had followed him like a week before and asked him for his like dirty shoes, which were in terrible state. And he was like, well, yeah, you can have them, but I need them until Wednesday when I get a new pair. So just come back on Wednesday and I'll give you them.
So that does sound related to the person. Like,
Possibly.
you've gone to quite a lot of effort, in fact, to find that guy's shoes specifically.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just what's happened to Chris's shoes.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Well,
Can't eBay reseller.
I was going to say I'm one level removed, aren't I? Because someone's arbitraging my shoes. Right, okay. My first one for today is YouTube Premium. Have either of you two got YouTube Premium?
So I've done the trial for it and didn't continue with it.
Okay.
But
I know that Yusef won't have done.
No, I've been recommended it and I can't see the appeal.
So George Mack is a big proponent of YouTube Premium. Couldn't believe that I didn't have it. And
so I'm really open to getting it. So sell it to me, Chris.
Okay. So I decided it was Michaela Peterson. When we always say this, and this is a life hack for life hacks, right? Everybody that is listening, if multiple different people come to you with the same suggestion independently, just do it, because the likelihood of the stars aligning in that way, specifically for people in separate social circles to come to you and say, you really should try this. So George had done it, but that was just one. Then Michaela couldn't, but I think I sent her a screenshot of something I was watching on YouTube, and she noticed by the top bar that it wasn't YouTube Premium. And she said, I can't believe that you don't have YouTube Premium. You need to, I was, right, I will buy it. So upgraded. For the most part, I use YouTube quite a bit. I also watch lots of content that I could just listen to. Also trying to reduce my screen time. And all of that combined means that no adverts is saving me at least 10 seconds to 15 seconds per video. I think YouTube have pushed the limit for the unskippable section of an ad now to between 6 and 7 seconds, which is very cheeky of them. And then, so I don't ever have to skip ads. I can swipe up and go onto other apps, or I can just lock my phone and leave it somewhere and listen to what's going on. So a lot of the time when I'm doing podcast prep for a guest, Brian Greene, who's this super famous physicist, last night, I just left the phone on the side and listened to him and Neil deGrasse Tyson talk. But it's easier to find something on YouTube than it is on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So a lot of the time, actually, YouTube's simpler because the search is more optimized. It's better to listen to stuff on there. It's just problem of having to watch it at the same time, having to stay on your phone to skip the ads. So skipping ads is a huge one. Being able to play while it's off. You get free access to YouTube Music. I haven't even downloaded it. I don't need it. It is not that cheap when you consider that a Netflix subscription is what, for the 4-person Ultra HD, it's maybe £14 a month now. And I think YouTube Premium is £12 to £13 a month. So it's not cheap, but I mean, scale up how many videos do you watch per day? How much time do the adverts take from those videos? I'm easily ROI positive on it. Plus, I don't have to use my phone, so I am now a YouTube Premium convert.
So it's ad-free. It is, you can close the app and listen to stuff. Can you save stuff offline?
Yeah.
Can you have
Use case for that would be super minimal. It would only be when I was maybe on a plane or traveling somewhere abroad, but that would be nice. There's some extra features that you get. Another thing is that you buy it and it attaches to a particular account. So let's say that you guys bought it for the Propane Fitness channel. You would actually both be able to benefit so long as you were both using the Propane Fitness channel as opposed to what I presume you both have, which is a personal one outside of that. So I bought it, but me and Video Guy Dean now have access to YouTube Premium on the Chris Williamson main channel. So, yeah.
What do you think, Johnny? Are you sold?
Well, so it links quite nicely with my next life hack.
It's seamless. We're in flow.
It's as if we'd prepared.
But we haven't.
We haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I just go on to that then? So I have been training in my garage, which means when I log my training, so that I don't have to be reliant on my phone all the time, I use my laptop. So I can tracking things, which is even worse. Which is even worse because that's where all my work is. But so I have to track a lot of stuff, which I don't know, benefit all.
This is why Johnny can no longer train in a public gym.
Because I've got too much stuff with me. Yeah. I've got basically a portable lab.
VR headset.
Barometers.
Yeah.
But so something that I've found, and I can't explain why, but if I'm listening to music when I'm training, or if I'm just training on my own and I'm listening to normal music, it's 75% benefit. But if I listen to a live version of the music, if I listen to a live band performance or a live DJ set, there's something, even though the audio quality is worse, there's something about that live experience that
energy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But obviously all of that's on YouTube. So having an ad, because there's nothing more annoying than unwrap the bar and then Grammarly has blah, blah, blah. Fuck me. And that has happened so many times to me. The mid-roll, and they're always the most intrusive as well. There's nothing more contrasting than bare.
Have you thought about setting up a life insurance policy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing,
really aggressive set, and then it's an ad about something completely separate. So I like it.
Autoplay continues outside of when the app's closed, so it'll still continue to autoplay even when your phone's locked, which is nice. So you could create a little playlist and it'll run through the playlist. I get what you mean about the live thing. Does your live music have to have crowd noise in?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would agree. Live music without crowd noise is just a poorly recorded normal album track.
Well, so there's a few instances over the last year when bands and DJs have done live sets, but there's no crowd, and it's worse. It's way worse. Whereas, even though the audio is better than a recorded live at a venue, but if it's live at a venue, there's some Kerrang, for anyone into metal music, Kerrang have done a series in what they call the pit, the K pit.
What, the Islamic holy book?
Exactly. Yeah, yep. They organised some gigs in a bar, and the audio is terrible, but the atmosphere is great, and those are awesome.
Give us what are the 3 most watched videos, live music videos, that you've gone to for training on YouTube?
I mean, it's very the number of people who hear my recommendation and think that sounds good. There'll be 3, and one of them will be you, Chris, and the other one will be Dean.
Doesn't matter. Tell us.
Architects Live at Reading.
What year?
I think it'll just be the most recent one.
Okay.
Beartooth at Wacken Festival. and like anything by like, you'll hate this, Chris, like Skrillex, Steve Aoki, Martin Garrix, anything like that. Anything like very like EDM, like very lots of crowd noise, lots of 3, 2, 1, jump, lots of that.
3, 2, 1, lift. Is
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest as well, like some of the powerlifting or like lifting motivation videos as well, as cheesy as they are, they're good as well. If you need to really pull a lever on something like that can be quite good as well.
That's cool, man.
So there you go.
I've been watching Reggie Fasser, who is one of the JST athletes. He's just come third in the UK in the Open. Came sixth in the world in the 21.2 workout. Monster. The guy's a freak. But the stuff that he listens to, that those guys listen to as they're getting ready to send it, like, is it Ian Van Dahl, Castles in the Sky? but like a 170 BPM GABA version, or like some German techno. Yusef's nodding along quietly there at 170 BPM. That's your sort of shit.
Beautiful.
But
yeah, that's
so
right in my element.
I think one thing that's been lacking definitely over the last year, there's just been no reason to send anything. It's been such a low energy year generally. You haven't really been laughing with friends.
Can you define send anything?
Well,
Full send.
Yeah, sending it. So what's the reason to get excited about really any? Like, I go and do a session on the bike in my kitchen. Oh yeah, really going to get myself excited for this, to move the 5 meters from my living room to my kitchen so that I can get on the bike and do steady state for half an hour. And the opportunities to kind of give yourself some energy extrinsically by putting some good music on with crowd noise. So it's like, this is my 10,000 fake friends for today. And they've joined you in your garage as you're lifting.
I think both of those show how much that we like to kind of bounce energy off each other as humans.
Yeah.
Well, I something I'm aware of at the moment is like I've still got the 10% available to add onto my session by just like being in a gym with other people. So, like a session that's hard, add a bit of music on, add a bit of atmosphere, caffeine, feel really good. It's going to be like, it's still only going to be 90%. Whereas if I did the same thing at a meet or in a busy gym, it's always going to be better. There's always that extra little bit to pull, which is cool. So that's exciting for when stuff reopens again.
Live music for training. I like that.
Yeah.
Seth,
live music in general. Can't wait to go to something live.
What have I got tickets for? I bought tickets for ABGT 450 with Anjuna Deep the next day. I think it's at the Dockyards or something in London.
That's good.
There's still tickets available if you want to come. Me and George Mack have bought tickets for it. But yeah, it's in September. Are you adding it to OmniFocus?
Yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah, that's going to be sick. That's the first thing that I've got booked in. It's in September. I still don't know if it's going to happen. But never mind.
If we don't go and see Bring Me the Horizon in September, Chris, I will be inconsolable.
It's already sorted. You know, Ollie's bought a house with his missus in Brazil. Did I tell you this?
No.
Yeah, Ollie Sykes bought a house in Brazil with his missus. So he flogged his one in Sheffield, the one with the gym and the pool. So he flogged that one, and now he was like, they were out there in Brazil, and he couldn't come back. And if he'd come back, he'd have had to stay in a hotel and do all of this thing. And now there's like,
just moved there.
What they bought a house. They were, we'll just buy a house, and then if I need to, like, we'll just keep it. I guess that's what happens when you've got fuck you money, isn't it? Yeah, just
like it's easy to just buy a house.
Ridiculous, man. Honestly, watching the guys, and this is on their public stories on Instagram, so everybody else that follows Bring Me the Horizon's bandmates knows this, but like Matt Nichols, the drummer, will spend days like repointing the brickwork in his conservatory, and so, because they're just such working class Sheffield blokes that happen to be world famous rock stars. Like you don't really think about, I know, like Ozzy Osbourne or Aerosmith. You don't think about them doing the pointing in their conservatory, but yeah, I there's something I quite like about that.
Well, it's when like you could easily pay someone to do it, but there's something rewarding about doing it yourself.
Yeah, I know. Right.
It's doing
Seth,
it out of choice, isn't it?
What you got?
The difference.
This is on the back of the YouTube Premium. So I heard your sales pitch, and I raise you an alternative method. just because for me, none of those features hit my pain points to sign up for YouTube Premium, partly because I don't really use my phone. So the idea of being able to play a video with the screen off compared to the screen on is like kind of irrelevant to me. So what I do for YouTube is everything's done entirely through Alfred. You can search and then find a video within Alfred. So that's like the app. Even your browser doesn't have to be open. And then you can play it through a media player called IINA, IINA. So you can just play any URL, any playlist. It remembers the spot that you were in last time along the video. You can adjust the speed and skip forward and back and stuff with the keyboard shortcuts. It doesn't buffer. It just loads the whole thing, and then you can just play it as if it's like a video that you've downloaded. And it's generally just a lot less intrusive. There's no adverts. I haven't seen an advert in years because I use Brave, which is the life hack from a couple of years back, probably now. So my recommendation would be just get Alfred properly set up, figure out all of your use cases, even if it's stuff that, like watching YouTube, you think there wouldn't be an Alfred fix for it. There probably is. So start with my YouTube video and then just browse the Alfred repository and you will have a lovely time.
Cool.
The problem with Alfred is it's a blank canvas with a really nice set of paints. And like you've got the potential to create something brilliant, but you could also do like a smiley face stick man. Like you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know what you're trying to create.
That is such a good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yusef tried to give me some sort of workflow, macro workflow thing for Alfred, sent me it the other day, so that I can search my notes, because I've got 2,000 notes on Apple Notes. And Yusef sent me some workflow. I pressed a button, and then what came up that I didn't have the Python CSS, that existing library module to plug it in. And I was watching the genesis of a SCOBY problem occur in front of my eyes. I'd been infected with it. I was seeing it. Was it Prometheus? That I was watching the Prometheus video of
evolving from the embryonic state into the fully fledged alien.
Yeah.
So whenever that happens and like the Saw music plays, you know, when he's going like, I'd like to play a game, and it's like things, it slowly becomes really serious, and you realize how enormous the problem is, and you're like, well, I'm stuck now. That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was trying to do to me.
So I should say, like, getting YouTube Premium is the like simple sledgehammer solution. It's like, look, I'll just pay the 15 quid. Just leave me alone. Right. I just want to listen to some music with the screen off. Thank you very much. Yes. If you're willing to put in some time and you're willing to kind of get out the paints and sketch out the picture, the skeleton first, and then paint it on top, and you can put in the time for it, then Alfred is
if you've got more money than time, buy YouTube Premium. If you've got more time than money, use IINA and Alfred.
The point of Alfred is that it saves you money long term, but there is a bit of, and I mean, obviously this doesn't go for anyone using a Windows computer. Like, that's several steps away. Just
throw it out the window.
What you want to do is if you take your computer and go out of your back door, open up the recycling bin and just put it in there.
Gently deposit
it. Come back to your seat.
With a hammer first. You forgot the hammer.
Yeah. Right. My next one is typefully.app. So I sent this to Yusef yesterday. If you are someone who uses Twitter and wants to create long tweet threads from single blocks of text or from text that's been worked up into paragraphs, Typefully allows you to write out the entire tweet thread, including previews for URLs and everything else. It brings up a live preview of exactly how it's going to look on your account. And you don't need to move things around between the different thread windows or the tweets within the thread windows. You can just move the text within a block, a typing block typically, like you'd have on your notes, and it'll automatically do it. It won't cut off halfway between different sentences. It's all formatted beautifully, and then it's one button to press send. It's like, and it's free. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, that solves a problem that for many people are like, what? Tweet threads? What's that? But for people that write tweet threads, it's such a ball ache to get it all into the right formatting. So
not much more to say about that. Just typefully.app. You should go and check it out. If you're a Twitter user that uses tweet threads, then it'll save your life. Jonny, what you got?
This. What's it going to be?
I don't know.
Wad welder.
Yes.
So I think this is something that you may have recommended to me, Chris, but some time ago. So they have a kit which includes this tub, which smells great, and that's part of the benefit of it. And there's a little stick and a little pumice stone that comes in a pack. I used to have a problem. I think you've both seen it, actually. Like, it would happen to me all the time where I'd be like deadlifting and training for months, and then a huge callus would go on my hand, and it would be like I wouldn't be able to train on it, and it would feel like when you touched your hand, you were touching raw nerve ending. It was so painful. So this stuff, I put it on my desk, and like just before I start work, use it, and it's easy to do because it smells brilliant. And I mean, touch wood, I've not had any callus problems since I've been using it.
For the people that don't know, what is the Wad Welder product? What does the balm do? What's it got in it?
It's the same thing as
lanolin.
It's lanolin, isn't it? That's the thing that like softens your skin. So this is the daily cream, and then there's a stick that you put just on your calloused areas of your hands, and then there's a pumice stone to like sand down the uneven edges.
Dude, Wad Welder. So I've never used the cream and I've never used the pumice stone, but it's like a Pritt stick.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's it literally looks like a Pritt stick. You push it up from the bottom and then you just do little circular motions. It does smell awesome. It's fixed my hands so quickly. You know, when you're doing when the open used to be 6 weeks long, and you'd tear them 1 week, and by the next week they were getting back to usable again, which is pretty insane. I'm Wad Welders, and I think you can buy it on Amazon as well. Okay. So I mean, that's just how I got it. Go and buy it on Amazon. If you're someone that lifts and needs to protect your hands, and you find that you're getting calloused hand tears, especially anyone that's in CrossFit should already know about this. They use what's that? It's like Smithy's working hands cream or something like that, and it's £1 for a huge tub of it from Aldi. But it just smells like, well, it smells exactly as you would think Smithy's working men's hand cream would smell.
Like a working man.
Yeah. You can use veterinary udder cream as well, but that's obviously smells like a veterinary product.
Udder.
It's udder. It's funny. So Jonny and I were talking about this recently, where if you're a powerlifter and you think your calluses are bad, like look at the calluses of a weightlifter. If you're a weightlifter and think your calluses are bad, look at a CrossFitter. And then if you think your calluses are bad, look at the gymnasts. Like some of the stuff that you see at gymnastics, like people doing something off the rings and they just like flap of their palm just off.
Like their fingers half off and they've got a tape around it. Do you not have this? Is this not a problem with gymnastics? I've never heard.
Yeah. So I don't like doing rings very much. I'm not very good at rings and bar, so I just kind of don't do them. Right. So for me, floor and pommel's not really.
It's not
as prone to it, yeah. But always take care of your hands.
Whenever someone, like when I was first told about like hand care, I was like, no, I'm not going to do hand
lifting
care.
310 kilos, mate. I don't need to worry about. I'm past hand care. All right.
Well, it's the things you end up like really valuing, like the skin on your hands. Stone, like it's fine until you can no longer grip something at all. Like it's fine until opening a door hurts, and then you're like, okay.
It's at the forefront of your experience as well, right? Like there's nothing, it's the same as having a back injury or having an aching shoulder or a pulled neck. It's so there, just all the time here.
I think back pain's the worst for that.
Yeah.
But
anything axial, toothache, back pain, anything along like the midline axis where it is just that, isn't it?
In front of the face. Right. What have you got, Seth?
So this is free advertising for a certain company, but I recently had a steak from Block and Bottle, which is a place in the Northeast that does, as you can imagine, like craft beers and craft steaks, whatever you call it, like boutique steaks. Everyone in there has got, a beard and a plug in their ear, and they're all, you come in and they're like, hello, sir, how can I help you? And, we have this particular range of cow today, and it's from the fragrant forests of Azkaban, and we can...
There's a story about the meat,
each
piece of meat.
Incredible, and it's all, they've got loads of different cuts and types of meat, and it's a bit pricey, but it's no more than you would pay in a restaurant or something. And when you make it yourself, you just treat it with such care, and it is beautiful. And so I like a ribeye. That's definitely my top choice steak, and I'm willing to fight anyone who disagrees. But ribeye is supposed to be cooked medium or medium well, as opposed to other steaks because it's so fatty and you want the marbling and the fat to kind of infuse throughout it. Now, the hack is when you have a fatty cut of steak, if you end up with gristly bits, a lot of people throw that away, but you can just fry it harder at the end, and you've then just got like, because then it just melts and creates like new, very nice bits. You don't want to waste it. So the hack is don't throw away your gristly bits. Just try frying them hard and see what happens.
And order expensive steak as well.
Yeah.
So did definitely. You have to? Can you order block and bottle online? Do they deliver?
Possibly. It's they have a shop with a big queue out the front, and you can. It's all very customized. It's a great experience. It's in Heaton.
Okay.
I've seen a few people talking about. So I actually saw Kino Body mention that Michaela Peterson had recommended a meat delivery company to him.
Yeah, she's sponsored.
Is it right? So I've just seen a few people like talking about how they've had steak delivered.
So I've literally just had reached out to me. I think it's the Dry Aged Steak Co. or something have just reached out to me about the show. I've told them to send some stuff out and I'll see how it is. But yeah, I think high quality organic meat, people are now becoming increasingly concerned about the different antibiotics that are being pumped into their food and stuff like that. So it doesn't surprise me that as carnivore diets become more popular, as people are going keto or low carb, that increasingly high quality meat is a thing.
It's not something I try and limit the kind of bandwidth that I spend on things that I can't control, but this is probably pushing at the precipice of like, maybe this is something we should be looking after, because it was a interview with a farmer on Joe Rogan talking about like a chicken breast in the States costs like, I don't know, $1.20 or something. And he was like, there is no way that should cost $1.20. Like something's missing from that.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that the environmental cost is being offset so that you can get a chicken breast for super cheap. But as a result, you're getting loads of antibiotics and fecal matter in the food and all that kind of stuff to be able to keep the prices so low. And so his whole idea is like the farming structure needs to be completely redone.
I had Chris Baber, who is M&S's in-house food chef. I had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying the one thing that he always goes organic and the highest quality at is meat. He actually says that he goes vegan 2 days a week so that he can afford to go the highest quality meat for 5 days, and he would rather do that than have lower quality meat across the week. He also said another thing, which is when you're eating a steak, you're supposed to use the steak knife to cut cross through the fibers as opposed to long way down the fibers. The reason being that those fibers are long and stringy and they get stuck in your teeth, and you can break them up immediately by just cutting across them. And I didn't know this rule. Did you guys know this rule? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm a pretty steaky man. So
okay. I didn't know. I
knew that.
Yeah, so just cut across so that you break up the fibers already, and then like that. So yeah, cut across. What am I going to do next? Okay, so I'm going to do readwise.io, which is anybody that follows me on Instagram will know that pretty much every day there's a couple of quotes that come from a book, and Readwise is the service that I use that delivers me that. So it automatically syncs in with your Kindle and highlights. Then it re-delivers you a set number of highlights at a set time over email each day. If you want to go onto the website, there's a partner app as well. You can use it as a flashcard service, kind of like Anki for spaced repetition, so that you start to actually learn the insights you've got. You can favorite them, you can discard them, you can delete them. You can also upload directly from your Kindle on documents which are not in your Kindle library. So let's say that you've sent a PDF to your Kindle, you can do an upload every so often, and they give you a periodic reminder to say it's been 3 months since you plugged your Kindle in, maybe you should go and do that, or you can turn it off. Once you've got it set up, it is super unintrusive, and every single day I get 4 quotes that I've highlighted from my books, from books that I've read, And if you've made notes in Kindle as well, so you can highlight something and then you can make a note if you choose to. So I'm starting to do that as well. So here's something that I think, and here's what I think about that thing right now. And it also includes that. It's phenomenal. Like, for remembering the things that you care about reading, it's outstanding. And
so you take notes while you're reading and feed it into Readwise?
No.
And it then?
No.
Okay.
So the highlight that you make on Kindle.
Yeah. It saves
just,
that.
As soon as you do that, it just takes that. But there's also an option when you highlight something, you can press on it and make a note in the Kindle. But you don't need to. I do that very rarely. That's maybe like 1 in 20.
And it then emails them back to you or something like that.
Yeah, or just randomly picks them up and pulls them through, and then as they come through, you can either discard them or favorite them or just leave them. And I think I have thousands of highlights now.
That's pretty cool. So like every day you just get a little reminder of something you've read in the past.
I get four little passages, and it one thing that it's done, which I need to deprogram, is now sometimes I want to highlight something because I think it's important in the book, but I know I actually start thinking about how that's going to appear when it comes up on my Readwise. I'm like, no. Like, you're not highlighting stuff for Readwise. You're highlighting stuff because it needs highlighted. But it's great. If you use a Kindle, I think Readwise is mandatory, really, because it'll just continue to redeliver you the best bits of books that you've already been through.
You're so deep in the Kindle ecosystem. I love it. I need to do that as well, because I've just, people keep getting me physical books, and now I've just got to get through them before I convert.
That's a bittersweet for you, I imagine.
Yeah. It's like, thank you. Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much.
Right, Blobson,
great.
What you got?
A hack for improving a review process. So if anyone listened to Chris's interview with Chris Sparks in end of December, talks about monthly reviews or quarterly reviews. So as we're recording this, it's like the end of Q1 of 2021. So I always find reviewing, the standard review questions of like what went well, what didn't go well. Where the hell do you begin with that? Especially if you're like looking back over a long period of time. Again, this is something we may have already covered, but it's something that's been more relevant for me recently. So I think an easy way to prompt your memory of what went well and what didn't go well is look at your calendar. So if you have events, things that you've done, stuff that you've it's maybe not that good at this point, but generally like people you saw, stuff you did, highlights, and it's really easy to pick out because you look at days and you're like, oh yeah, that was awesome. Maybe you've completely forgotten about it until you see it on the calendar, or like actually that week was rubbish and here's why. So it's a really easy way. You just treat your calendar like a past record of what happened, and then you've got it ready to go and saved. Or if you take a lot of photos, your photo reel, like your camera reel on your phone, as a way of just remembering things that happened or places that you've been to, etc. So it's just an easier way to prompt the memories, because I think it's quite easy to forget things that went well or didn't go well.
So can I just add something to that? Day one have now they look like they're moving more in that direction. So they're launching deeper calendar integration, more kind of photos integration and stuff, so that you can basically whip through almost a museum of your life.
Cool.
Pretty
what
cool.
was that thing? Was it Time Hop? Do you remember Time Hop?
Yeah.
Which was you
Like,
logged in on all of your different
days ago.
social media accounts, and it would show you what.
And they steal all your data and they sell it to China. And yeah.
The day one does that already. So whenever you make a new entry in day one, it's like in 2015 on this day you were doing it. And you're like, bloody hell, I've totally forgotten about that. But it's kind of a different. You don't think like, oh yeah, that's helpful to review 2015. It's not.
So you're saying that when you're doing a review, check your calendar and your photos because it's a good prompt.
It's just stuff that most people. So I think Yusef deletes calendar entries. So some people do that. I don't know. Like I personally,
no one
once a day
does that.
Past.
No one does that.
You never know. So like,
it's because I'm one of those perverts that uses a calendar and calendar events as to-do items. So leaving them on.
Disgusting.
But yeah, so like if I can look at January and remember like key things that happened, like stuff that I did or stuff that, but it is more events based. And then photos are things that you usually, if something's memorable or like interesting, most people's reaction at this point is to take a photo of it. So if you've got that as well, it's a way of like most people's photo reel on their phone is like highlights of stuff that's happened, right? So it's a really easy way to look back.
What's the process that you go through for your quarterly review? Have you taken it from somewhere?
It's just as simple as that. Like, what went well, what didn't go well, what am I going to do more of, what am I going to do less of?
Have you split that into like career, health, relationships, and other?
Yeah, I think sometimes like the categories thing, because that's the struggle I had with the Chris Sparks framework, is like there's probably things that are at any one period of your life are like forefront of the focus. So you'll have like a period of your time where there's a lot of focus on health or a lot of focus on relationships or work. So there's not always tons of stuff in each category. So I tend to just free form it and just do generally like, what do I think is going well? What do I think isn't going well? And just whatever comes to mind, really. Yeah. To be honest, I don't feel very good at the process. Like, it's something I struggle with, but I think most people do.
At least you're doing it though, man. Like I even my weekly review on OmniFocus, I've said to you before, I'm still struggling to discipline myself with that because it's just an arduous task, and the desire is always to do work, not to review and plan work. It's like, well, I could spend this time planning and reviewing, doing. You're like, well, no, like the reason that you can do better is because you've reviewed and planned. So I've got Greg McEwen coming on the show soon, and his new book's Effortless, which is all about how you make the things that you have to do easier. So I'm a couple of chapters into it, and I'm looking forward to maybe getting some.
It's going straight on the list. If someone could buy me the physical book version of that, please.
Are you being serious? Something just linked to that, just before we move on. So with the weekly review thing, I've found, and I suppose this isn't someone, you maybe can't always do this, but in Propane, we have a meeting on a Monday, like a weekly meeting. I know that if I've done my weekly review prior to that meeting, I'm like, the meeting's more useful. So like, if I've been through everything, then I'm able to like delegate things or bring things up that I need to talk about, or actually this is relevant now or whatever. So having, and again, it's hard if you don't have that, but having some kind of
accountability.
Like, if I do it by this point, then this thing is better. Because it's never fun, really, is it? Like looking over all of the projects you have and trying to decide what's relevant, what isn't relevant. Like, it's not immediately enjoyable. Yeah. So if you can add some kind of necessity to it, I've found that really helps.
That is good, to an obvious, explicit outcome benefit that you're going to get.
And like a line in the sand of like, on Monday at 1:45 p.m, I need to do my weekly review.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like I'm sat there going, has anyone got anything to say? Well, I would have done if I'd done my weekly review. But...
Yeah, good. Oh, well, you've just told Yusef there, if you turn up and you stay quiet for most of the meeting, he knows that you've had a shitty weekend.
He'll know, yeah.
Exactly. Let's go.
Is everything okay?
What you got?
So I was going to do a physical one, but actually, I think this one's taken the limelight because of what Jonny's just said, which is the Apple Photos app, particularly the Mac version, but they integrate so well. I've upgraded to the full bells and whistles iCloud storage just because it's just so smooth now. And I went through a process of, a few years ago when my dad died and we cleared out the house, there was loads of like family photos and all that kind of stuff, and there's just like so much stuff that you get archived, and we've like been arranging to get it scanned, and then you're like, oh, now I've just got like folders of old memories that aren't really doing anything. So I went through and basically just put them all into Apple Photos. Still got the rest to be digitized by a company, but what it allows you to do is it just makes everything fully searchable, because by the time you've got over 1,000 photos, you're never going to be like looking through them individually. And quite often you want to pick one for a specific purpose or to make a card for someone or whatever. And so what Apple Photos does is you tag people's faces in it and it links with your contacts, and then it'll start to recognize more photos of that person, and also location tags it if you took the photo with your phone. So suddenly, rather than having folders or whatever, you've just got a fully searchable database where you can type in someone's name, where you can type in like Belgium or 2017 or whatever, and it's just like the smoothest experience. So I think if you can learn to leverage it fully and also be quite selective about what you put into Apple Photos, don't just like, when you're out and you take like 10 photos of someone on a bridge, and you're like, some of them are like that, and then you just think, oh, I'll sort them out later, or I'll delete the dodgy ones in a bit. and you never get around to it, you need to make a habit of like either at the end of the day or just at the time, like picking the best photo rather than like leaving all 7 in there.
It makes like little video montages as well, doesn't it? And plays
so funny.
Yeah.
plays music over them.
Yeah.
It's,
You're 2020.
Here we go.
Just a bunch of like selfies just on your own.
You're looking lonely, yeah, existential crises. Yeah, so what do you use Apple Photos for mostly? Because I don't know about you, Jonny, but I very rarely go back through my photos. It's just it's a media storage device as far as I'm concerned. For
man, like, I'm bit okay. So let me talk you through,
because you don't strike me. We don't take a lot of photos when we're together, so I don't know whether.
Yeah, we don't. I feel like we should take more because we're usually having too much fun to take photos. We're like, actually, like it would be quite a good. So I've got
just by body cams.
Yeah, that's what we need. So I've got a shared album with my girlfriend. So anytime we're like out somewhere or whatever, and we take some photos, we just both put them into the shared album, and then we've got like
great idea. Like that's better than the original hack.
Yeah. Well, the original hack is just use Apple Photos, isn't it?
Right. So, I see. So this is a sub hack within the hack.
Yeah, and then I've got one for like stuff that's potentially going to go on Instagram. So if you have like a good shot that would be like a PR kind of photo,
great
so that kind of thing. Then you've got ones organized by event or location or whatever else. And so as a result, you can end up, I've got one for like testimonials that clients send us, one of the property that I'm working on and developing, so it can get like a kind of time lapse effect. So I think using the tools to its full extent.
Having a shared album with your partner is a good one. One thing that I did when I went away to Rome was create a shared album between all of the people that go away on holiday. Yeah,
there's nothing worse than like 10 people having like such.
Oh, can you like, airdrop me those ones from today?
Oh, what a pain in the bum.
There's so many applications of that, because like every event, like weddings, all these things, like you can just create cloud shared albums of.
The consequence, if you don't, like Claire is going to have some absolute corker of a photo that she's only sent to one person, and then like,
and Claire forgets her iCloud login.
Oh,
and then that's it.
Wrecked it. Right.
I think that's hack of the day.
Would you reckon have a shared album with your partner?
I think just use the Apple like set it up properly, and then everything's easier.
I'm so impressed with how much you use your laptop as opposed to your phone, Yusef. I think
I just hate my phone. My thumbs are too fat.
But you've got quite a big one now. You haven't got the tiny little.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just because the speed. So we did a test on when we were recording the podcast the other day, just to demonstrate how much faster Yusef is with a laptop than most other people. So I tried to find a previous episode of a podcast we'd done, and I knew what it was called and I knew where it would be, and I was still searching. It's like minutes later, and Yusef just went. But I think he typed 6 keys, and the longest delay was waiting for the laptop to load. Of course
it was, yeah.
So that's why he doesn't use his phone.
When Yusef's quicker than a silicon chip at searching for stuff, that makes
that
makes
for
a lot
Yusef
of sense.
to unlock his phone, the time taken for the Face ID to work, he'd have found it by then. So
that's it. So I think my phone, I just associate it with like frustration. Like, it's taking too long. Like, come on.
No, I agree.
Throw it off a wall.
Right. My next one is a quote from, I think it's originally from James Clear. Don't practice what you do not want to become. And basically, it reminds us that there is no such thing as not instantiating a habit. You're always embedding some form of habit. It's either, is it the one that you want to do, or is it one that you don't want to do? There is no, this isn't me doing a thing. No. Even not doing a thing is doing a thing. And don't practice what you do not want to become is such a lovely little mantra to remind yourself that when you're stuck between two choices, between the thing that you know that you probably should do and the thing that maybe the lazy present self is tempting you to do, okay, is this version what I want to become? It almost invariably it's going to be no. So it reminds you to take a third-party perspective. It takes you out of the present self, which is inevitably lazy, and takes the path of least resistance. It's just, how do I want to look back on today, tomorrow? What would I have wanted me to do right now? And almost always you make the right choice. So should I hit the snooze button? Okay, well, do you want to become the sort of person that regularly hits the snooze button? Because if you hit snooze today, not hitting snooze tomorrow will be harder, not easier. The way that
you're right. You can't be like, oh, but this doesn't count. And Kate Lachlan says something similar of you're always practicing something. And so or I think I heard another one that's like, this isn't the dress rehearsal. Like, this is just your life. Like, you can't be like, oh no, but this is the rehearsal, so it's fine. I'll just snooze today. It's a scary one.
It's caving to the like mental narrative of like, like this time it's a one-off, but tomorrow, next week, Monday, it'll be different. Like that, as soon as you fall for that trick, you're more likely to fall for it every subsequent time, which means you're less and less likely forever to do the thing that you're trying to do.
And then you're just drilling the habit of this time
of listening. Yeah, precisely. There's layers and layers of how you're talking to yourself and what the habits are. But the way that myelin works, you don't get to not lay myelin sheaths down in your brain. The action that you make will lay down some sort of pathway. So you might as well decide to reinforce the ones of the things that you want to do, not the ones of the things that you don't want to do.
If you could voluntarily like have a timeout button for your brain that you could turn on or off, would you have one installed?
What would happen?
So no myelin is laid down when the timeout is enabled.
Oh God, yeah. I'd just go crazy. I'd go, because that's what people think is happening when they give themselves a day off. When they give themselves I'm not going to follow my diet. I'm not going to do my morning routine. I'm not going to train. I'm not going to get up on time. That's what they think is happening. They think, oh, well, yeah, but like, this is just, this doesn't really count. It doesn't matter, when what it is just another day that's chipping into the days of good habits. Johnny.
Guys, I'm going to have to go to the toilet.
Okay, that's fine. We can talk. We can talk about you while you go. Come on.
All right, cool. 2 seconds.
It's normally me as well.
It
like
is.
At the end of a life hacks, my bladder is bursting, but luckily I went for the pre-wee.
What have you done this week?
I have been finishing up my geriatrics rotation.
What are you on to next?
Moving on to a GP practice, which is the make or break. So interestingly, speaking of kind of productivity, I know people that have performed so well Julian, for example, performed so well in his GP kind of entrance application that he didn't have to do an interview and he just got a job secured on the GP training program. When he did his rotation in GP, he sacked it off because he was like, this is not the kind of neat day has clear boundaries kind of situation that you'd have in a hospital where you turn up, you handed over some stuff, you do the jobs, and then at the end of the day, you hand it over to someone else and it's continuous. In the GP practice, it's like there's a bunch of stuff that happens on Monday and then you've got to follow it up on the Wednesday and you've got to write the 50 letters here and it just opens up a bunch of loops and it doesn't get to the point, you don't have a clear end to each day. So you just got like this ongoing mass of stuff to do. So it'll be interesting to see how.
So will you be a GP for a short while?
GP with a lot of support. So I'll be an F2 doctor. So like having my own patient load, but with a special GP to go and ask if I'm stuck about anything.
Interesting.
It's usually administrative stuff. It's like, oh, how do you refer to this particular clinic, or who do you send this person to, or whatever.
The hierarchy of medicine is insane when you realize just how long and drawn out it is, that the people who've been studying for 5 years and then on placement for 2 still basically just get to file the paperwork for the people that are fully qualified.
It depends on the specialty. If you're in something super specialized, then that's definitely the case. Or if if it's surgery, then you're going to be very gradual, which is great for the patient, because you're never going to be operated on by someone who's just YOLOing the procedure at 2 a.m.
Our cousin Joanne, who's here on placement. Well, she was great in the hairdressers.
Joanne, do you mind just filling in because this woman needs a appendix taken out? Like, all right, I'll give it a crack.
Fucking hell! So I watched that. Is it Three Identical Strangers, about those twins in New York that were separated at birth, adopted, and then if you haven't watched it, Three Identical Strangers on Netflix is amazing, very heartwarming documentary. It's a great watch, and I won't spoil it for you, but these three guys get separated and then they come back and find each other at like 19 years old, and they're triplets. And one of the guys, they start living together after a few years. One of the dudes needs his appendix taken out. He's got appendicitis, but he doesn't have any medical insurance. So he goes into the hospital under his brother's name, who does have medical insurance,
clever.
and gets his appendix taken out under the name of his identical brother.
Although, surely you could do that with anyone. Or in the States, do they have like photo ID?
I think they
check
almost
things?
definitely
So, yeah.
have photo ID, for medical stuff.
'Cause it's all done on. It's all that everyone's got to have an insurance policy, don't they? I feel like it was just saying like, "Oh, this is my name, honest promise." Like, there'd be a lot of fraud going on.
So I feel like you could do that in the UK, couldn't you? I mean, I've not tested the limits of the fraud.
I think it's quite hard.
What you got, Blob?
Okay. It's the question of which direction to take things in. How many more are we doing?
We got a bit of time. We'll be doing at least a couple each.
Okay. So in that case, this is a diet related hack, which is low calorie hot chocolate.
What is the? Because is it just less of the spoons in, or is it the same number of spoons,
Don't know.
but it's lower calorie?
I don't really have like normal hot chocolate, so I don't know. But it's an easy. It's just like 60 calories. So you get to the end of the day, you've hit your calories for the day, and you think like, oh, I really would just quite like something sweet. It's negligible. Like, wouldn't
What
even bother
brand?
tracking it. There's I think it's Galaxy chocolate. Do like a 60 calorie one. So if you're dieting, it's just a really easy thing to add in at the end of the day.
I wonder what a normal scoop of hot chocolate is.
I think they're pretty high calorie.
Is that right?
It's
Yeah.
the number of spoons. That's the thing. That's why I'm so surprised that, because it's like, what is the bulk of the stuff? If it's
It'll
not
be awful
sugar?
and artificial, and like I wouldn't. It's not like a healthy drink. I
It's
would
just
imagine.
filled with carcinogens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Low
the,
calorie
have you tried
carcinogens,
other ones, or is the
fine.
Galaxy the only one that you've tried?
I've only tried one. Yeah. Like
I
I'm not.
do
To be
like
honest, I'm not
Galaxy.
looking for like the edge with it. It's something that just ticks a box.
Yeah.
Have you ever had cognac noodles?
Yes.
Cognac.
The low calorie like rubberized noodles.
They're like 2 calories per pack.
Yeah,
It's
but
ridiculous.
I mean, it's not food, is it?
Yeah, it's just bulk. in
I
your
think,
stomach.
I like you eat it and you think, I shouldn't be eating this. Like this, this feels like if I were to eat my pencil
Keyboard
case
or something,
yeah,
yeah.
like
But I think when you're deep in a diet, when you're like, you can start to see your pancreas secreting insulin, you're just like, yeah, give me it.
yeah,
Don't care.
anything to feel mechanically full, I'll eat. Whether it's like tissue paper, noodles.
It's a weird headspace, isn't it?
Yeah.
Low calorie hot chocolate. I think that and 0 calorie jelly or low calorie jelly,
Yeah.
all of these little ways to the charity popcorn, the low calorie charity popcorn as well. All just little things that you can chip away.
There's
at your
also
hunger with.
like fruit juice lollies. You know, like a ice cream, not an ice cream, but you know what I mean. Like you both know what I mean. Yeah. Those, but like an orange juice one. They're also really low calorie. Same sort of thing.
Are you dieting at the moment?
I am.
What are you
in a
going
deficit.
from and to?
When I started, I was 106 kilos. I'm now 96 kilos.
No way.
And
Are you
I'll
going down to
be-
the 93s?
That's the plan, yeah.
Fuck.
I want to be within firing range of the 93, so I want to be like 95 and under. And then I just want to nip in and bump my deadlift record up again.
You're
And
such
then-
a Terminator at 93.
What are you
I don't
working
think I'll be
toward
able to
here?
get-
When are you working towards peaking for?
I
Start
don't
next year,
have- I
later
don't
this
have
year?
like that. I'm just like enjoying training and being a bit lighter, and it's It's quite a big difference being 10
What's the
kilos
difference?
lighter.
What's the difference between being 106 kilos and 96 kilos?
Just like the general effort of life is slightly lower across the board. So like walking, any exertion is easier because obviously there's like, imagine carrying a 10 kilo plate. Like if I gave you a 10 kilo plate and said, you've got to take this with you everywhere you go, you can't leave it anywhere. Like if you go to the shop and leave it on the checkout, like you've got to go back and get it. You've got to have it with you the whole time.
It's so funny. Like I remember the kind of experiencing the opposite of that. Like, because I went from 59 to 90 kilos in about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get like a pump in your lower back going upstairs and like shin splints just from like less than 50 meters of running. Awful.
You just feel worse in every way, I think.
Structurally unadapted to your own body somehow.
Yeah. Well, especially if it happens quickly. So I gained my 10 kilos. I gained my 10 kilo plate over like 6 months. So not quite as aggressive as Yusef, but
This would be the lightest that you've been for ages then.
The lightest I've been since 2017.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Seth, what you got?
Let me know if I've said this one before, but it's keys in the fridge.
Yeah.
I have said this before.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. So in that case, let's switch to, speaking of the high, so that for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's probably 3 episodes back. Speaking of 170 BPM music, Frenchcore is the one.
Frenchcore.
It's such a great genre
to find out what this is.
So for anyone that enjoys a bit of kind of EDM music and thinks, but I just wish it was just twice as fast and a bit more distorted, and I wish it just like blew my head off a bit more. Frenchcore is the one. Have a listen to Bill X, Dr. Peacock, and Sefer, and they will change your life.
So interestingly, Yusef, I listened to some Dr. Peacock the other day.
Did you?
I think it's because you tagged him.
Oh yeah,
in something on Instagram.
He's a
and
genius.
I saw the like message thread, and I listened to his latest like Viking trance one.
Yeah,
Viking dance or something like
Welcome
that.
to Valhalla.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was nearly there. I liked it more than I thought.
It's a gateway drug.
It is a bit much though, isn't it?
It's the kind of thing that you hear one. It's like eating a spicy chili, and you're like, oh, that's too much for me. And then like a day later, you're like,
how would you describe the sound of listening to it, Jonny?
So it feels like there's a lot of noise. So there's a wall of noise that hits you, and there's a hint of a melody there. And
someone shouts the word melody next door.
It's the LaCroix of music.
Because like I almost find myself like wanting the melody to continue.
Yeah.
It's going like, dun, 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 and you're like, oh, and then it starts getting a bit more like, and you're like, oh, okay, it's a bit, and then so like I think listening to it's like there's a mental strain to listening to it for me.
What a description! It pushes your limits. I find it beautiful. Like Gabba brings me to tears. It's absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's no melody.
It's you in the soul. That's the point.
I think that says so much about you as a human.
Yeah. I think it's just matching your mental
overclocked
frequency.
Brain. Yeah, precisely.
Shut down.
That's binaural beats. That's Yusef's binaural beats.
It's noise cancelling for the brain, isn't it?
But like so similarly, I'll listen to music that has a lot of shouting in it, I suppose is the only way to describe it. And I'll play it to other people and they'll hate it. And they'll say, why do you like it? I'm like, well, I don't really know. Like, you can't really hear what they're saying. He sounds pretty annoyed about something.
Cross.
You can't
upset at best.
Vexed.
Yeah.
He's vexed about something, but you can't understand what. But I really like it for some reason. Yeah. And there's like, you know, when you meet someone who has a similar music taste, there's just an immediate
just know.
Yeah. You don't. You're like, oh, do you hear that? Like, oh yeah. And have you heard that album? Oh yeah. Did you have that with Dr. Peacock? Do you ever meet fellow Dr. Peacockers?
Yeah, so I've got a friend who's a vet who absolutely loves the problem is a lot of he's more on the like happy hardcore kind of side of it, but the problem
Castles in the Sky side.
is but turned up the speed. The problem is, a lot of those kind of happy hardcore stuff on YouTube seems to have like hentai as the thumbnails, and he says that he just plays it while he's in surgical vet theatre, and sometimes like his colleagues will be like, "What have you got on there?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's just the music. It's not
nudie anime."
I see. Right, yeah.
Shit. Right. This is one that all of us will do. I'm almost certain, but we haven't put it on the life hacks before, which is answer emails when you're waiting for something. So if you are sat waiting for food to be delivered outside of a restaurant, or you've gone to the mechanics and your car's getting done, there's a number of different things that you could do. You could browse the internet, you could look on social media, but inevitably there's always a bunch of emails that you need to get through. Maybe you've got a bunch of different inboxes. Maybe you've got like a public facing inbox that you batch it once every couple of weeks or something like that. And the beauty of using time where life thinks it's got you to actually get it. You're like, oh, no. You don't make me wait. I'm going to stop me waiting in real life when you're making me wait in this mechanics place at Quick Fit.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think
it's a special
I've got this
counter-attack.
image of Chris sat in Quick Fit just going.
really smugly sat in Quick Fit. Mate, are you?
I hope that you say it
excuse me, mate. Your car's finished, and are you smirking?
I'm hoping that the thought process is spoken out like, life. You thought you
think you got me
today,
there?
life.
Not today, my friend.
I'm afraid it's going to be a 20-minute wait, mate. No problem, sir.
Don't you worry, you good friend. Yeah, I answer your emails when you're waiting for stuff. You can just tick through them, slowly move through whatever it is. You can't do the complex ones that need opening up a Google Doc and referring to stuff and, can you send over the attachments for whatever? But the vast majority of emails aren't that. The vast majority of emails are just you confirming that you've received an email from someone, or what's your address, what's your email, whatever stuff it might be. And just chew through that. I've found, because when you're waiting, there's an upper bound, I think, on how cognitively complex the things are that you can do. I don't think that you would be able to, I'll write the sales copy for my new thing, or I'll update my CV. Like, you're not going to be able to sink yourself into a deep state. Yeah, precisely. But the vast majority of email work isn't deep. It's just shallow and frequent. So answer your emails when you're waiting for shit.
Have you ever said, I hope this email finds you well?
I've said, hope you're well.
Yeah.
I've never said, I hope this email finds you well. That seems a bit
I think that's
pompous.
one of the weirdest things to say, but people do it all the time.
Like when it finds you.
Well, that's it.
You're
Is it when it finds you that you're well, or is it I hope it finds you on the internet and it locates you
effectively?
Properly,
I hope that, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to unwell.
I don't know.
Right.
I wonder about people that use the term e-meat.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what I think about them, but I think something about them. I haven't decided what I think about them yet. Nice to e-meet you.
Yeah.
It's just, it needs a better word, doesn't it? Because the phrase itself is cringy. But I understand the sentiment, so it needs a cooler sounding.
The better one, the best one, the one that I always use is just great to connect. That seems to come across.
LinkedIn.
It's a bit, it's very LinkedIn outreach, isn't it?
Oh, I don't use LinkedIn.
You'd love it on LinkedIn.
Oh God! So here's something that this is
like great to connect, Chris.
This is like using using some racial slur that you've never heard before. And no, that's what Mum and Dad used to call my favorite bear. You go, no, you can't call it that. You can't call it that. Yeah, exactly.
Before you know it, you've been invited to a LinkedIn best-selling author speaking gig.
Yeah,
just because of what you said at the start of an
most great to connect in 2021. Right, Johnny, what you got?
Johan.
I can probably do one more.
Why don't we do one more, and then whatever you've watched on Netflix recently that's been best?
Cool. So mine is, instead of a process goal, have a mini win goal. So I imagine everyone's probably heard the James Clear thing of like, it's not an outcome goal, it's a process goal. And then you set a process goal and you try and do the process and you get bored of it about 20 days in and stop doing the process. And I think like I've been trying a lot to make just the things that I do easier and more enjoyable and simpler, and then so you can just forget about them. Because I think that's the best place to be, isn't it? Like when you're doing something, when something is the right thing to do and you do it without really thinking about it, I think that's the best place to be in. So the stuff that I'm really consistent at, I'm consistent at it because I'm always chasing a little PB, like a little goal, which attaches to the process, but the process gets you there. But the thing that I pay attention to is like the mini win that maybe happens weekly or monthly or whatever. So like for training, it might be my like estimated 1 rep max, or for Propane, it might be the number of podcast downloads in a week, or whatever it is. Like it's not necessarily relevant. It's not the overall thing that you're chasing. But if you can just focus on the little things, it gives you that little dopamine kick of like, yeah, this is fun. This is fun, more of this. And in the meantime, you're just being really consistent with the stuff that would otherwise be quite boring if you just weren't looking at anything. So I largely forget. So like link back to your question before of like, what am I aiming for in training? Like at the moment, nothing really, but the little PBs are enough to keep me coming back. So if you can, finding equivalence in stuff you're trying to be consistent with can be really helpful.
I think that's cool. I think everybody intuitively does that, right? Even when you stop thinking about the main goal, you're always watching whatever the little attributes or metrics are that take you a long way to that.
The stuff that you don't think about it in will be the stuff that you're inconsistent at, I imagine.
What is, other than training in Propane, have you got any other examples of, well, I guess weight loss would be one. Like you can just look at your average monthly weight loss on the way to losing 13 kilos from 106 to 93.
It's just hitting like a new low weigh-in is enough. Like it doesn't really matter what that number is, but if it's like the lowest one you've hit, that's cool. Like that's enough to kind of keep you consistent. With meditating, I tried like tracking the numbers. So I think you and I both use the same approach, Chris, of like the noting method, the Shinzen Young approach.
Yeah.
Just rather than thinking like feel or hear or see, it's a number. So I just think like sensation noted, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then just thinking, like this week I hit a streak of that unbroken focus that I've not hit before. And it's the same practice, but that compared to kind of just sitting and trying to like subjectively think, well, is it better or worse, or is it working? Just little ways to like, I think I'm very aware of the fact that I'm very focused on like hitting these little wins or PBs. I seem to be wired that way.
You're a metrics-driven guy. Like you're a chartered accountant, economics graduate. Like who's inevitably going to be this way.
Like hitting numbers, like stats, to prove that things are moving in the right direction. So if that's kind of what the kick I get out of stuff, and I can wire myself that way, and in the background just be doing the things that are consistently good for me in 5 years' time, then that's a win overall. So like have a mini win goal for stuff you're struggling with, rather than I'm going to meditate for 30 days. Because at some point in the 30 days, you'll get bored, more than likely. But if you're trying to hit like little PBs, even if it's a streak goal, like that helps you be consistent with the thing that you're probably struggling with.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot. Seth, what you got?
Again, I don't know if I've done this one before, and this is because my ticking off process has not been very good for the last life hack. So I've got a lot of open boxes that may or may not have been mentioned. But this is about gift technique. So partly using the Apple ecosystem. So when you have a person in your life, put their birthday in their Apple contact card, and in the notes section, put lots of potential gift ideas. So I have 2 systems for this. One of them is a note on Evernote that's just like general gift ideas that would be good for anyone, that are generic, not specific to a certain person. And then if you have ones that are specific to a person, you put it in their Apple contact. That way you have a reminder. If you want to be extra good about it, you can set a reminder like a week before the birthday or whatever. And then the next hack is to, whenever you get a gift for someone's birthday or Christmas or whatever, double up, get another one too. If it's a generic gift, just buy 2 of them and store it somewhere in case you're caught out and you need to get some chocolates or whatever for someone, or get the thing for their next event as well. So this is if you're big on birthdays and Christmas. Personally, I've not actually been very good at doing this in action, but I know that it would just solve a lot of stress. I don't actually like birthdays and Christmas as things. I think they are, it's like, if you don't get them a present, it's considered a social faux pas. But if you do get them a present, like, there's a ceiling on how good it can be. Whereas I think impromptu, just random presents are always going to be much better received and much more heartfelt. So there's an argument to say sack off birthdays and Christmas entirely and just get people random presents.
Well, that's the way that slot machines work, right? They're a variable schedule reward. That's precisely why it's addictive and why it feels good, because you don't know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's a social layer of it as well, which is like, if you don't get your girlfriend flowers on Valentine's Day or something, she might be a bit upset. But if you get her flowers on a random day, she'll be so much more pleased than she would be upset if you didn't on Valentine's. Well,
I think you keep on dating quite balanced girls. I think there is a subset of both men and women out there who would lose their shit if they didn't get a birthday present but received 2 random presents throughout the year.
Interesting. Okay.
Right, my last one before we do a quick round of what we've watched on Netflix is Kings of the Wild. That's WYLD. So I got introduced to this book by a buddy called Jake, who's big into fantasy. It's a fiction book. It's 350, 400 pages long. It'll take you maybe a few weeks if you read for 15 minutes a night or 30 minutes a night. It'll take you a few weeks to read. It's just very easy to go through, super fast-paced, really compelling characters. Everyone that I've given Red Rising to, which I mentioned a few life hacks ago, got completely addicted, including your housemate.
Chris, I got him it on your recommendation, and he devoured it, and he ended up buying the next like 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's when you know you've hit a home run with a gift, when the person goes and gets all the
subsequent gifts within the yeah. So Red Rising, if you missed that one on a life hacks a couple of episodes ago, but Kings of the Wild, in short, in this new world, mercenary teams of people are treated like bands, like rock bands. So they go and do tours where they compete in arenas and kill monsters. They have groupies. They all have different types of weapons. Like, one will have a sword, but the guy that's got the axe is obviously kind of the front man with the guitar. The guy that's got the double swords is obviously the drummer. And it's just it's super fast-paced. There's a little bit, I would say that the character development's a tiny little bit shallow, but what you lose in terms of the depth of character development, you pick up because the story just doesn't stop. It just keeps on going. There's always, they're in a new place within no time at all. Like, they'll need to get somewhere, and then randomly there'll be a flying dragon or whatever that they can attack, and then they'll get there. So it's really good. It's an easy read, and I enjoyed it. So Red Rising, if you haven't got it already, and Kings of the Wild, if you need a new book. Johnny, what have you watched recently?
I need to go very soon, so this will have to be quick, if that's cool. But it's not on Netflix. It's on Sky Atlantic or Now TV, if you have Now TV. But it's called
You've been going for some niche sources of media recently.
It's just Now TV.
Now TV, Apple TV, Sky Atlantic. I mean,
I think we just have, between me and my girlfriend, we just have all of the available.
Every membership.
Instead of getting Sky, we pay like a third of the Sky subscription and have more of the available TV.
What have you watched?
So it's called Your Honor. It's directed by Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad fame. I know Yusef likes a bit of Breaking Bad. It's fantastic. So like, the plot in summary is, he is a judge, very well-known judge. His son basically runs over the son of a famous mob boss, and the things that unravel as a result of that. And it is brilliant.
You
couldn't recommend it.
Love TV shows where mental shit happens to normal people.
Do I?
Well, what about not Fargo? What was the one?
Jacob's thingy.
No, what was the thing with
apologizing to Jacob?
Defending Jacob.
No, the one with the guy who gets caught up doing accountants for drug runners.
Yeah, that's class. So my girlfriend has this theory that I like films and TV shows with powerful men in.
I'd say
So,
that's
like,
probably correct.
To be honest, it's the case. So like Peaky Blinders, I think there is this theory that the stuff that you like is the stuff that you want to see yourself as the main character in. So the movies
so
you
Ozark's
like.
an accountant, isn't? Or he's a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Gus from Breaking Bad is like a very quantitative businessman.
Mm.
They're all very,
Numbersy.
Yeah.
He's not numbersy in Your Honor.
I watched the first episode. I walked in on my housemate watching the first episode the other day. It's pretty good. I thought the first episode was actually a little bit slow, but I'm going to guess
Give it time,
up.
Chris. Give it time.
Sure thing.
Time.
Seth, what have you watched recently?
So have you ever you're eating something and you just put something on thinking, I'll just whatever, I'll just put this on, and then you end up just falling through all 3 seasons of it and you're like, oh God, what have I done? That was The Fall.
I told you, this was on a life hack a while ago. I told you to watch this.
Did you? Right.
Was it on your list?
Yeah. So
yeah, that's where it's come from.
What I need to do is start attributing on the list, who recommended it.
I want the associated praise. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I watched it on Chris's recommendation without realizing.
Yeah.
It was I'll put something on. Okay, someone
What
said
did you
The
think?
Fall.
That's back to the beginning, the ultimate life hack test, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
It comes full
It
circle.
literally is. Very good. It's for people that are listening. It's about a pervert.
Pervert.
Pervert. Well, that's what it's because we've been just calling it pervert because I know an Egyptian doctor who was talking about something. He's like, this man is pervert, and so we've just been calling it pervert, and I actually forgot what the original name of the show was. So yeah, it's about a pervert and his evolution of thought and action. Very interesting.
I like the fact it's quite subversive. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. It kind of breaks a lot of the norms. That's why I've said it before, but Line of Duty, of which the new season is currently airing, Line of Duty does not, it gets a samurai sword out and kicks you in the balls. Like, that's the way,
Very
it
similar
works.
to Line of Duty.
Yeah.
I think probably the most similar.
Yeah. There's a lot of
purpose of the tape.
BBC drama. It's classic, isn't it? Like, both of them are Sunday night, 9 p.m. BBC drama.
But you'd think, typically you'd have thought that would have just been, crap, like filmed on someone's VHS camera. The actors would have been awful. Right, so I'm going to try and rattle off a couple. So 3 Identical Strangers is a documentary that's maybe about 2 hours long. You need to watch that. Unforgotten. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Unforgotten is a little bit like a slightly diluted down version of Line of Duty. But still, that's a compliment.
Have you seen the latest series?
Yes.
Very good, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the latest.
You've seen the ending of the latest series?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
I
serious.
think that's all we need to say, isn't it?
Yeah. So 3 Identical Strangers, Unforgotten, and I have got another one, and I can't remember. It'll come back to me at some point in the future. Your Honor, The Fall, 3 Identical Strangers, and Unforgotten. I mean, that's enough to get anybody through.
I watched The Staircase. I suppose that's a mental thing happening to normal people, isn't it?
So the Staircase is good because it just doesn't stop.
Yeah. What an ordeal.
It's the clip where he's sat in the room and the lawyer's listing off how much it's going to cost, and he's just sat there with his glasses going like.
His eyebrows are always up.
Just getting taken to the cleaners. It's going to cost him 750 grand to defend himself.
Well, I mean, he defends himself over decades, so it's not really that surprising, is it?
The thing with that program is if it's the case that she just fell down the stairs, for fuck, he must just be like, this is ridiculous.
Actually, to be fair, that's probably the biggest indication of his guilt, that he's just not more indignant. I would be so put out. Can you imagine if Yusef had to put up with a decade of paperwork?
You just stand up and call me
kidding me?
This is ridiculous.
Things to do. Have you seen the state of my tick right now? Just. She fell down the stairs. I'm very upset about it, but that's that. And let's all just move on.
Leave me alone.
Right, guys. I am going to have to go.
That's fine. Look, gentlemen, thank you. We will do this again soon. Everybody that is listening, all the stuff that we've gone through will be linked in the show notes below. If you have any life hacks that you want to submit, if they're phenomenal, then we might consider putting them on. I think over the entire career of life hacks, we've featured maybe 2 or 3 audience suggestions. So throw them in the comments below and see if you can get them done. But for now, it is propanefitness.com/modernwisdom. For the 7 things you won't believe about how to launch an online business.
You won't believe what Jonny says at number 4.
And then what's the one that, are you still running the free webinar?
That is the, well, yeah. Just go to that one. It's all the same now. So
beautiful. Right. Guys, have a good weekend. I will catch you later on.
See ya.
Peace. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that, then press here for a selection of the best clips from the podcast over the last few months. And don't forget to subscribe. It makes me very happy indeed. Peace.